right. Hey, everybody. We're going to start recording now. My setup's really ghetto right now, but I'll get it. It's going to be okay at some point. Um, this is American Bedrock. It's where we believe that strong family values are the foundation of a free and thriving country, really. Um, we believe that marriage is a team effort. It's not just one person's holding it together. It's both people and the kids hold the whole thing together. Number two, parents are the ultimate teachers, far better than any teacher you send your kid to school for. Um, you're going to teach your kids better than anybody else. That's just the truth. Our culture at home breeds the culture of our society. So if our home lives are not so nice, you're not going to treat society nice. I think that's just what it comes down to. Remember, this is my first podcast, so we're gonna have some ums and okays and uhs and stuff like that. I'm gonna work on it. This is a work in progress. With that, my goals are also a work in progress for this show. I was, as I'm sure many of you were, inspired by Charlie Kirk and Erica Kirk, and when his assassination happened, I didn't even realize how much what he was doing and what Turning Point meant. Uh, and I think a lot of us feel that way. I wish he could have seen how many of us started to join after that. Um, but either way, I've been thinking for probably over a year that I wanted to start a podcast, and you always find excuses not to do it. And this is my no more excuses type moment, right? So I'm here trying to figure out what my goals for the podcast are, but they will be evolving. Right now, it's to empower you to know that even if you don't have the time to start a podcast, even if you don't have maybe the guts yet to come out to people in your community that you actually lean conservative instead of liberal. I live in a very liberal community. I want to empower you to know that just raising a strong family is such a huge step in changing the world we live in and making it what the founders created the United States to be. A place of freedom and merit and, you know, what when we think of the future, we think of the past, and we want to believe that that freedom that we had can be brought back. And right now, it's floundering, but we can bring it back, and we will. So that's what I want to empower people with this podcast, that just simple things at home, you're doing enough. Just keep doing them. Add on to them, just like homesteading. When you start out homesteading, you start out maybe growing a few tomatoes, and then 10 years later you've got sheep and an orchard and 100 chickens, and you have grown off your property and you need to go buy a ranch. That's where we are. But we've learned so much in the journey, and I think that that's what this journey to this bedrock of American spirit that we're all kind of pulling up from inside us and realizing that we need to bring back to the politics and the government, and take control back instead of being complacent. So that's what I'm empowering us all to do by doing this podcast. And this is my first episode, so probably nobody will see it, thank goodness. But, I got to step into it somehow. So, episode 1. What else did I want to say to you? I guess about me. My name's JJ Jeffrey on X, and I before I started a family and before I had kids, I really did not think I wanted kids at all. I lived somewhat of a debaucherous life. I went to music festivals and I worked at a weed shop for a while, and I um, took hallucinogens and, thought I was finding my way in the world and understanding who I was. And actually, the whole time that I was doing this, I'm a writer. So I was writing. I would go to live music shows, high on who knows what, and write. And when I did that, I wrote for years. And I came to the conclusion that I was always searching for something and I could never figure out what it was, but I was searching for purpose. And I did not find it within that scene and within that community. Uh, there was no purpose there for me. And I met my husband. He wasn't into that. He's an electrical engineer, but he was my roommate. And um, we I don't know if I want to go into that story right now. I might save that's a personal story that I think I'll save for another episode. But we started a family together and we bought a home, which was very hard. I know a lot of people can't do that. Um, but he had a good job. I didn't. And I always thought, I'm going to have a career and I've got my college degree. And then I got pregnant and it made a lot more sense. I was making $15 an hour and it cost $15. It cost my salary to send our little girl to preschool. So it didn't really make sense. Why would we send her to preschool and then I just work the whole time to pay for that? It didn't make sense to do it. So I started staying home. And it was a big transition because I'm used to being around a lot of people. And so becoming a mom has changed that for me a lot. I used to be quite social and outgoing, and now it's been about, she's almost 7, so it's been about 7 years of not speaking with people in conversations every single day, other than my children and my husband, who also works from home. So during COVID, I was pregnant with my second child, and they're out there. They're out there making potatoes or digging potatoes right now. Um, uh, when my second child was being born, COVID was going on, and we were in quarantine, and so we were building out our new home with garden beds and chicken coop and planting trees and things like that. So it gave us a lot to do. We built a greenhouse, and um, we decided that it was just not our style to get the COVID vaccine. Uh, and so my husband lost his job as an electrical engineer, radio frequency engineer. So when that happened, we really had to consider what we were going to do with our lives. And we had started to try to uh, create businesses. We'd created a bunch of businesses in the past, but they all kind of failed. We would work on them for a while, and then we wouldn't make any money, and then we would kind of be like, okay, we don't want to do this because it's not getting us anywhere. One of the adventures was making a kids YouTube channel because we thought there was no wholesome kids YouTube channels. Um, India really liked it. We got a lot of views from India, but we didn't end up making any money, and so it wasn't worth it. And so we stopped doing it after a year of making silly little videos like that. But in the end, we came up with our business Aupa, which is it means pick me up. That's what our kids tell us when they're tiny little babies. Opa, opa. So in Basque, which is my husband's family's Basque, it means aupa. I mean, it means pick me up. Aupa means pick me up. So that's what the bar is called, and it's a meat-based energy bar. And we started making them. We converted our garage into a facility, and we started making these bars, and we have been fairly successful with that, and we're growing the business. So my husband is able to stay home. I'm able to stay home. We work from home. And when we're not making bars and packaging them and sending them out, we are working in our yard on our own projects. And I say yard because we're on about an acre, and it's not enough room for us anymore. So we are looking for a bigger property. But that's enough about me. Told you about my life before kids, and now my life after kids is kind of that homesteading mom. Some people say trad mom, because I spend my days in the garden. I spend my days raising sheep and chickens and children. And I think that kind of lifestyle kind of brings me back to, what's that TV show? Little House on the Prairie, where the mom and dad are home a lot of the time raising the kids, and you get a lot stronger connection with your kid, and you get a lot better ability to teach them about the world instead of send them off and you don't know how much attention they're getting and what their lives are really like. And I think that's a hugely important part of creating a stronger society, is going back to really raising our children. So I never would have thought that before, but now that I have kids and I get to stay home with them and I get to raise them, I love it. And I think, like I said, I used to be a liberal. I used to believe that the climate was going to kill us all and all of that. But now that I generally work on a farm, my husband and I have worked on a few farms, I watch the weather, I watch the seasons, and I don't think it's a big problem. At least not here in Colorado. We'll see what it's like in Texas if we move there. Anyways, so I think what I found out of starting a family is that, yes, you will be a happier person if you raise children, have kids, live off the land, and improve society in that way. And I think that's a huge thing that people don't recognize that they are bringing to the table. Because a lot of us sit at home and we listen to Charlie Kirk or Alex Jones or Tucker Carlson or Ashton Forbes or whoever you listen to, and you find that you want to say something and you want to put out a message and you want to show that you're strong, have a strong value about something, and that your morals are strong too. And raising your family is enough. It really is. You don't need to go start a podcast. You don't need to do much else than just build that. So that's what I've learned. The next section of the podcast is going to be about news this week, right? Because I'm on X often learning or reading about the news. I went to school for political science, international affairs at first, at least. And so I have been interested in politics for a long time. And I just dropped out of a race for city council member here in Longmont, Colorado. And I dropped out because I found out I'm pregnant with my fourth, and it's just too tiring. This is my first experience with running for office, and there's so many meetings. and you sit and talk with so many different people and you're learning so many different things that I think it's good that I dropped out so that I can spend more time meeting more people and learning the trade a little bit, right? Um, I'm bummed that I dropped out, but at the same time, I know that I wasn't physically up for it. I needed to take more naps. I have to take care of my body too, right? So, so ran for city council, and I will do it again, mattering on where I live. I'm really hoping that we can turn the state red, but Colorado's pretty blue. And there's some gnarly things going on here in Colorado. So we'll see how those turn out. But right now, news of the week is the government shutdown. And what I want to know is, has it affected you? Because when it comes to my family, it's affected us in two ways. And actually, I wouldn't say that they're bad ways. One is that since we make meat-based energy bars, I go onto the USDA website quite often, and we are not USDA certified, so we can't sell wholesale. We have to just sell on our website, straight to customer. But we plan to get USDA certified, so I use the website to try to find places that can produce for us. Correct? So it really hasn't changed the website much. But what it's done is made this nice banner across the top saying that radical Democrats are holding up the government. And, I had to screenshot that and think that's really funny. The other thing that's affected us about the government shutdown is that we have been camping recently. And we really like to go to the, Army Corps of Engineers campgrounds or other federal campgrounds, and they're not closed. They just don't have anybody attending them. So when you go in, there's nobody there to purchase a campsite from. There's nobody there to ask questions to, and we're not really the type of people who reserve spots beforehand, and you can't reserve day of online. So that has been a little bit of a conundrum, but if you need someplace to stay, you need someplace to stay, right? I wish they would just go back to the little envelopes that they used to have back in the day. Remember when we were kids? And you would, write your information and put a $20 bill in or a $10 bill or whatever it costs and stick it in the box, and then that was your site. Why don't they bring that back? Now everything's app-based, and if you're in the middle of nowhere and you don't have Starlink or it's not working or you don't have an attendant, then you're kind of screwed. Or you just kind of have to cheat the system, which, they've cheated us for quite a while. I think I can maybe camp in a campsite once in a while. Anyways, so that's my experience with the government shutdown. What's yours? Do you have an experience that's been poor? Because I know the Democrats are posting online all the time oh, the Republicans suck because they are causing so many problems with the government shutdown. And I think it's great. I'm a small government type person, so I don't seem to need many of the services that they're providing. I think that we should try to be independent of the government, and they want us dependent on them. I was just talking to somebody online about this today. So let's work on that, and let's teach our kids that. Number 2 news is the National Guard going to Chicago and Portland and the Antifa riots. It's going to be interesting to see. I think it's next week when the No King's Day thing happens again. My eyes about roll out of my head when I hear about the No King stuff. How lame to go to an event like that. Anyways, I'd never bring my kids to something like that because the negativity in an event like that is off the charts. And I don't really want them to see the crazy lunatics that will be there. Some people are normal, confused, but normal. Others are, gonna wear weird costumes or nothing at all. So it's not the kind of event I would go to. But do you think that it's okay for Trump to send in the National Guard to these these places where the Antifa riots are going on? Um, I personally think that yes, it is, because I see it as a threat to our democracy. Sorry, it's not a democracy, it's a republic. But either way, I'd be interested in your opinion. We're going to find out what the Supreme Court has to say. But I think that what he did in Washington, D.C., with making it safer by putting more officers out there and military, would be great across the country. I mean, I just went to my dentist the other day, and my my tech, she came in a little bit late, and she was apologizing because turns out somebody had robbed her house, stolen money and things from her home. And that's just like, she lives right near me. I, I have a sign on my door that's protected by the Second Amendment, so hopefully that would keep people away. But what a shame. What a shame to be worried about people breaking into your home, especially when you have children. I I really want to say just like what has happened to this country. We used to be able to like leave our door unlocked and stuff when I was a kid. I don't remember locking my door or worrying about that, or worrying about being shot on the street or having your neck sliced. Or that's why we want to move to a small town, and I'm sure many of you do too. Maybe your job won't permit it. It is what it is. But changing and fixing our cities, it needs to happen, don't you think? I mean, the Democrats say that they are going to do it and then they don't do it. I guess we're going to see what Mamdani does, right? Zohran, if that's how you say his name. He says he's going to fix everything and it's going to be a utopia in New York. Yeah, that'll be funny. I mean, it'll be really sad actually, but when you're not living in New York and you're watching the whole thing happen, I think that's gonna make a big difference. If the rest of the country sees the downfall of New York through his communist agendas, I think it'll really, I mean, it's a terrible offering. New York City, such an idol, an icon for our country. But maybe if the rest of the country can see the shame and shambles that comes from it, maybe we can come together and realize that that's not the answer. So, I see light in that dark, but I wonder what you think. Anyways, when it comes down to it, I want to thank the Kirk family for pushing so many of us to come out and be a part of the movement and not just sit on the sidelines. But I want everybody to remember that raising a strong family and being there for your kids, because if Tyler Robinson really was Charlie's murderer, his family was Republican and conservative, and then something happened to make him lose that. And so I've been thinking about that a lot. How could my kids ever change to think that, to believe that odd and harsh of a reality? I don't know, but I hope that these kind of strong values and conversations with your children can keep them being a part of this movement instead of the anti-movement, right? The Antifa side of things. And I think, becoming part of an independent system and not needing the government The government should not be controlling how many sheds you're allowed to build on your property, how big your shed can be, what kind of plants you can grow at your house, how many chickens you can have. I mean, these are things that are seem like such overreach to me. I can't understand how it could be that way. But I suppose we're almost at 250 years. So things just slowly over time decay and people become complacent in what has happened in this world. So let's bring back America. Let's bring back the family values that built it. Let's bring back the merit. Let's bring back the independence. And let's make a difference in our country. Let's see it change. Let's see it turn into a beautiful future that's different and unique than the past, because of course it will be, but that takes the values that we had in the past and rekindles them, right? I think of Kennedy's speech about manifest destiny, and we've just let it die. And all I can think of for my kids is I just want them to have that manifest destiny. I want them to I don't know, be able to see what Mars is like. I mean, I don't really want to send my kids off to Mars, but you know, that could be something that they want to do, and if it is, they get to, right? So what I have written here that I wanted to say is that each of us makes a difference every day in how we raise our kids and how we model our values in public, whether that's like wearing something as simple as a Raising Patriots hat or or your Trump hat, or, a freedom t-shirt. How we shop, who we buy from, how we live our lives, and how we hopefully are aiming to step away from institutional dependence, because I think that's a huge way to take power away from the government, right? So I guess that's my closing. It's time to end this thing. I hope you enjoyed my first episode. I'm not going to ask you to like and subscribe yet because this is episode 1, but maybe at episode 10, I'll give it a try, right? Hopefully you heard me. Maybe you didn't. But my closing, I'll have it memorized one day, is keep your home bright and keep your hearts brave. We'll see you next week, everybody. Bye.
This ain't the America that all our parents love, but good men try to keep making it great. Pray that God will take care of us, the system is failing us when good men die for the things that they say. And I can't just be quiet, so I gotta be brave, cause this is America. Lately it's scaring us, but one good man can change it all in a day.